My name is Lisa Grief, and I'm going to be sharing my book presentation on Johnny Tremain. It was written in 1943 by Esther Forbes. It's on the Revolutionary War. Esther Forbes wrote this in 1943. She was a pretty amazing author. I wanted to read a little bit about a foreword that was about her. It's kind of interesting. She was a historian, not a novelist. She struggled with dyslexia, punctuation, and spelling. In 1942, she won the Pulitzer Prize for Paul Revere. And in 1943, Johnny Tremain was written, and it won a Newbery Award medal. It says, it was her novelist's eye that Esther Forbes used as well as being a historian to enliven a character like Johnny, who begins as an arrogant, almost obnoxious apprentice, so skilled that he runs his master's household, so clever that he dominates the other apprentices, so sure of himself that he has his entire life planned out. He will become a wealthy silversmith with a household of his own, and fat rich merchants like John Hancock will come to him begging for his work. But this is not the way it is to be. Instead, Johnny finds himself turning his back on his trade because he has no choice, and then on his aristocratic heritage because he does have a choice, and choosing instead to become one of this new breed of men whose fight is deeper and wider than they even knew. So I'll tell you here the plot about this great book. I think it's interesting, though, that Esther Forbes had dyslexia. They said that she was hilarious. The editors didn't like her a whole lot because she'd have a temper and she'd get upset if they'd change anything, and her spelling was not great in her punctuation, so that kind of cracked me up a bit. The criteria for evaluating historical fiction is the list here. I just wanted to go through this, and then we'll come back to this at the end. To accurately reflect the time period, which she does great job of in the Revolutionary War. Authentic values, the language, the setting, integration with it, relationship with the setting, the theme, and the style. So we'll talk about that. There are some pictures in this book, like this, just black and white at the first of the chapters, but most of the book, it's a pretty thick novel, about 200 pages, and it doesn't have a lot of pictures. Turn that on for a second. These pictures I did get off of the website. Walt Disney made a movie about Johnny Tremain quite a while ago, about the same time period as Swiss Family Robinson was made. And I haven't seen this movie yet, so I'm excited to watch it. I have it ordered to come, and I bet it'll be great. The book was wonderful. Starts out, Johnny Tremain is about 13 years old. He's an apprentice of a silversmith. This Mr. Lapham is his the owner and the household owner of the house, and Johnny works for him. Johnny is dedicated, hardworking. He's a very talented silversmith. He knows the trade as much as Mr. Lapham. He's friends with the two daughters that live in the house, but an accident happens one day. Johnny's hand is badly burned with some hot metal that he fell against, and his hand gets stuck together, his thumb glued tight to the other part of the skin, and he can't do his trade anymore. So he doesn't know what to do. He's basically kicked out on the streets. He could stay with the Laphams. He kind of comes and goes a little bit. This is the oldest daughter. Her name is Celia, and he becomes good friends with Celia. That's actually his best friend. Kind of a love story in there with the two of them. It's pretty cute with that, but the majority of the book focuses on Johnny, on trying to find work, his trade, and then he meets his friend Rab. And Rab is a son of liberty, works with Paul Revere closely, John Hancock, a lot of influential men at the time. And they work, Rab's dad is, he prints a newspaper article in the Observatory, and he prints for the Whigs. There was the Whigs and the Tories. The Tories are for Great Britain, and the Whigs are trying to get America free and have rights. So Esther Forbes, her whole main part of the book, the whole main theme is so that a man could stand up. She believes it's important to fight for our freedoms, and to have the freedom to live in this country, we need to fight just so a man can stand up so he can carry on and live. That's her key theme and focus in the whole book. She accurately reflects the time period. The time period, Revolutionary War. She's a historian, so she's great with this book. She knows all about it. There's authentic values. There's a lot of values taught to Johnny by his the silversmith, Mr. Lapham. He's a God-fearing man, teaches him right and wrong, and Johnny respects him a lot. The language in the book is very authentic. They're talking about the language she uses. It's nice. She doesn't cuss. She doesn't have the boys cuss, but they definitely talk like boys and more rowdy and he didn't grow up aristocratic home. His mother was wealthy, and Johnny later finds out he is related to a wealthy man there. It's a really interesting plot with that. It's an authentic setting. The setting actually is the antagonist in this book because it's at wartime. And so here war becomes the problem, or the antagonist. Integrated. She integrates this book great with the characters. They all fit together. Talked about before, the relationship with the setting. The theme, she goes into, focuses on a man being able to stand up, like I talked about before, is the main theme. We must fight for our freedoms, or what else would we have? And the central theme is talked about over and over in the book. The style is direct and bold. She has fast-paced writing. She doesn't let you drag, or you want to keep reading the book. It's exciting. Keeps the audience's attention. The book moves quickly. You want to know what happens to Johnny and Rab. Rab is Johnny's good friend that he meets with the Sons of Liberty. And this boy and Johnny become like brothers. And their relationship is key in the book also. I won't give away the ending. It's a hard ending to read, but it's a very good book about the war starts, the shot that was heard around the world. The Revolutionary War starts April 19th. 17, let's see, get the year right here. Let me see, 1775, April 19th. And that shot was heard around the world. And I think it's really great that Esther Forbes was able to take and make this character come alive. He's a fictional character, Johnny Tremain, but he worked with Paul Revere. And so the rest of all those characters are real. And she has him. He was the boy that told Paul Revere the British are coming, and Paul Revere set out on his ride. So she bases this whole book on that one small incident of him with Paul Revere. But it's a very well told story. I think you'd like it a lot. Children would love it, especially as a read aloud. And I hope you enjoy it. Thanks.